Hey, freaks and friends, welcome to day 8 of the 31 Days of October. The daily content continues with the 45 years of Halloween celebration. Today we are doing what should be something maybe later in the month, but I figure why not do it now, since the last film we talked about had one of the best endings in the franchise. I figure today is the day where we go into that full on. We're looking at the endings, we're ranking those worst to best. Let's go. Make sure to stab that subscribe button and slash that bell icon so you don't miss out on this daily Halloween content all through the month of October. So the ending of a film is just as important, if not more important, than the opening for a film. And the openings for Halloween films are always pretty great. But so are the endings. They're not always spectacular. But damn, the Halloween series has some of the best endings in horror for my money. We could debate that. It's easily debatable. I could probably think of a few endings that I like better while I'm editing this. We'll see what happens. Anyway, let's get into the ranking here. Coming in at number 13 for my least favorite Halloween ending, that's going to be The Curse of Michael Myers. No one cut of this film, I think, has a particularly good ending. I might be a little... I don't know. It would depend on the day. There's different things going on with each ending that I think would sort of dictate my decision making there. I mean, I do like the whole idea of the cult aesthetic going on for the producer's cut ending and that whole third act. There's just something anticlimactic about stopping Michael with the power of the runes. I do like the idea of Michael and Wynn switching out costumes there. That was pretty interesting. I liked the whole misdirection idea. And Loomis bearing the curse to be Michael's next watcher. Of course, with the passing of Donald Pleasence, there was really no real way to end that and capitalize on that in the future. And in the theatrical cut, we do get the more exciting ending. You know, we start with we're going to Smith's Grove, and it's, okay, all this cult stuff is being shed away. It's just medical stuff. You get the surgical room massacre, the chase through the little boiler room area. That's a really cool chase scene, honestly. And then you have Paul Rudd beating Michael down with the pipe, and he's like just oozing all this green shit from the corrosive bunch of needles there. But the film ultimately ends with seeing the Myers mask on the floor. Does that allude to the ending in the producer's cut? I don't know, probably not. But the mask looks clean on the floor. Why? I don't know. And we get the Loomis scream. Both of these endings just leave more questions than they answer. So that's why the Halloween Curse of Michael Myers does come at the tail end of the endings ranking. Coming in at number 12, this ending is one that also had a little bit of promise leading with it. That's going to be the Halloween Resurrection ending. This is a film I notoriously, among with half of the Halloween community, have problems out the yin-yang with. But this is a film that really, once it goes along, I do kind of start to enjoy it. It's just stupid fun, I guess. We'll see how I feel here in a little while talking about that one. The way it ends, you know, with Myers being taken into the mortuary, into the morgue, and he just sort of opens his eyes as the coroner chick's about to take his mask off there. We get that weird sort of... I always thought it sounded like an owl, but I guess it's Michael screaming little sound effect there. It's a cool little jump scare. I mean, I enjoyed that ending when I was a kid and, you know, was waiting for Halloween 9. Of course, that never really came to fruition. We ended up getting the Rob Zombie remakes. But for quite a few years, you know, I kind of was wanting to see what could come of this ending. And it's just that it kind of leaves us with that sort of cliffhanger and doesn't really ever capitalize on it in a real, legitimate, official Halloween film. We don't get a follow-up there, for better or for worse. But, you know, the ending just doesn't really suffice, really. So, number 12, Halloween Resurrection. Coming in at number 10. This one is one of those ones that is somewhat aggravating, but it's one that I sort of admire for the sort of air of mystery. It does leave us with that cliffhanger. The following film does sort of resolve it a little bit, but there's issues there. Can't really knock it too hard, but that's going to be the Halloween 5 ending. Of course, you got, with the third act there, the whole laundry chute chase and Loomis beating Myers with the 2x4. But the film ending with Myers in the jail cell, that admittedly is pretty stupid. I don't know if it's the only way, but one way you could have made that work would have been to take the mask back off of him there, but have him like obscured in the corner of the cell in the shadows. Don't show his face. Don't show his face. Don't show him crying because he's in jail. He was probably crying under the mask while he was in that cell, now that I think about it. But you have the Man in Black finally coming to show what he's made of. Shoots the hell out of the police station, busts Michael out, and we have Jamie, of course, coming in with the famous "No, no," you know, that whole bit. I thought that was pretty cool for what it was. I know I did get a kick out of that back when I first saw this one. It was like, oh fuck, what was it, like 2008, 2009 maybe? It was, of course, on the AMC. That was when I first saw 4 and 5. But, you know, I enjoyed this ending for what it was. It does sort of, again, leave us on a weird cliffhanger. It's sort of given a half-ass answer more so in the producer's cut of Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers. But it's just sort of an average ending. From this point on, I don't really have much problems with the endings going forward. Coming in at number 10, this one is only lower here because we've seen it done better in the series. And admittedly, it is a little different, but that's going to be the Halloween 2007 Rob Zombie ending. I do kind of like how the whole third act of the film, first of all, is more or less the same thing as John Carpenter's film, just sort of sped up. And it is taken to a bit of an extreme. It's definitely faster, harder, heavier, bloodier, of course. But, you know, it's one that's not too problematic. It does seem a little un-Halloween in a lot of ways, just with the amplification of the violence. The thing I really do like in this, though, is the confrontation. There is a lot more going on in that regard, where you have Loomis coming up to Myers, and he's like, hey, I'm the reason why you're so screwed up. I failed you. It's my fault. And, you know, when Laurie goes into the house, and then she's up in the roof, and Myers gets her down, and he tackles her right out onto the freaking lawn there. I don't know, that whole bit is just freaking crazy. It's a chaotic ending. Of course, she seemingly shoots him right in the fucking face. That was a hell of a way to end the film. Very chaotic. I enjoyed it a lot more when the film came out, of course, but, you know, it hasn't aged too terribly, but it's just kind of there. Coming in at number 9. This is going to be the Rob Zombie Halloween 2 ending, and this one is mostly here because of the variation of the two cuts. Having seen the director's cut more frequently, the unrated one, that sort of jars the opinion here just a little bit. And you guys know, for the most part, I love to the moon and back Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, but the director's cut ending, I'm a little mixed on. I don't hate it like most people do. I just find it problematic. Of course, that's the die line, you know. Get the fuck out of here with that. It's a pretty cool ending. It's chaotic like the previous film, but it's different in the context of Halloween, where we get Laurie getting shot down by the police. And at that point, you know, Brackett has just freaking lost everybody. He's recently lost Annie up to that point. So now, like, the last person that he cared about is gone. Loomis is dead. Myers is dead. There is a whole poetic thing going on there, though, with the bodies just all kind of laying there next to each other. I don't know. It's an alright ending. I mean, you take away the die part, it's pretty good. I do kind of like the whole thing of Laurie in the asylum, too. That's interesting, because that's up to interpretation, whether she's really just gone nuts. You could wonder, has the whole film even happened? Has she been in a nut house the whole time? Is it her purgatory afterlife? We don't know. And I like that it's sort of open to interpretation there. Coming in at number 8. This is definitely an ending. That much I will say. That's going to be the end of Halloween Ends. I did like the whole showdown with Corey and Laurie. I like the way that rhymes. And then we have Michael coming in after Corey seemingly offs himself, gets his mask back from Corey, we'll talk more about all that drama later. Again, I like Halloween Ends. That ending I thought was pretty okay for what it was. I was expecting a bit more of a showdown. It wouldn't have hurt, I don't think, to add a few extra minutes to the runtime of a decent showdown with Laurie and Michael. But I think I'm pretty satisfied with this ending being what it was. There was enough of a showdown. There was a little bit of intimacy there. The way Laurie talks to Michael as he is dying, she's like, "You're not a monster. You're just a man who's about to take his last breath." That was pretty hardcore. I thought that was pretty cool. And, the whole thing of Myers being emaciated and just sort of on his last leg, I don't know. I do appreciate that to some degree, because that's one of those things where it's like poetic in the way that the film and sort of the film series are kind of lining up there, where it's like, it's time to put Halloween to bed. It's time to put Myers to bed. There's just something about that nature that, I don't know, I can't really put it into words. There was just something about it that was very, very poetic. It did kind of hurt, though, to see this sort of finality going on with Myers there. I remember I was kind of sad coming out of the theater there. But, I don't know. I don't know how I felt about him going into the Crusher, but it added a little bit of an extra layer of finality. And I do like the denouement. Sorry, I don't speak French all that well. But I do like how it showed what happened after. We sort of get that resolution. So that does sort of cement this whole feeling of being an ending, because a lot of the films really have just ended after the most crazy shit going on. So this one did really give a bit of a resolution, so I do enjoy it for that. We're halfway there, guys. Number 7, we're looking at Halloween 2018. This one, of course, ended on probably one of the most sequel baity of sequel baity endings. I thought it was pretty cool. The whole third act was pretty cool. The showdown at Laurie's little fortress house there. That was some pretty crazy shit. You did have that cool moment from Karen with the gotcha. And they trap Myers in the basement. Like, oh, by the way, this isn't really a house. It's more of a trap. So I thought that was pretty cool. That shot of Myers just staring up through the little bars, though, that was pretty intense. And I don't know, I still feel the energy of seeing that in the theater. I thought it was a pretty serviceable ending. It's just kind of another ending that's just there. It did feel like a classic Halloween ending in a lot of ways, so it definitely gets some respect points on that. Not really a whole lot to say about it. Coming in at number 6, we're rounding off the David Gordon Green endings here. This is the ending for Halloween Kills. I think a lot of people are probably down on this film, like, all around, of course. But I don't think a lot of people like the ending. I don't think a lot of people like the whole idea of Myers getting up from that beatdown and just killing the whole mob that was surrounding him on the streets there. I personally thought that was pretty cool. It wasn't offensive or nothing. It was interesting. It was a little artsy, sure. You got that Laurie voiceover monologue there. I thought was pretty interesting. The way they ended Halloween Kills, they could have gone into Halloween Ends with some pretty interesting sort of weight there. I don't feel like they really utilized this aspect of the ending so well in Halloween Ends, though. But we're here to talk about the Halloween Kills ending. It was a gruesome film. Gruesome ending. Alright, top 5 territory, guys. The 5th best ending for me in the Halloween franchise is going to be the original Halloween 2 ending. The showdown at the hospital. Myers and Loomis face to face. He's cornered. He's not going to let Myers out this time. It's one of those endings that's really cool. In the review, I talked about how it's got that very Universal monster feel where Loomis knows the only way to really take Myers out is if he takes himself out with him. And if we watch it in the context of just Halloween 1 and 2, just those two, nothing to follow, that sort of raises this ending in a lot of ways. I love the very obvious fire suit stunt there. I don't know, I always like it when you can totally see the fire suit and a fire stunt there. But it's one of the endings that definitely offers the most of finality. It's definitely one of the more final sort of endings. So it definitely gets credit there. It's a solid ending. I do like the showdown, the way the music's starting to go before the room explodes there with the lighter. Just good stuff here. Coming in at number 4, this one, I'm sorry that it's not higher. It's going to be the Halloween 4 ending. This one is another one of those ones where you had a great ending, you could have followed it up nicely, but it's just not followed up on properly enough. The Halloween 4 ending, guys, this is one of the endings that we all talk about as one of the best Halloween endings, and deservedly so. We have, of course, Jamie Lloyd in the clown costume, stabbing her foster mother, seemingly to death, but that is retconned by the 5th film. No complaints there, really, but it sort of shows that this whole cycle of evil is running through the family of the Myers bloodline, which I thought was very cool, very interesting, very dark. I don't know, if Alan B. McElroy and Dwight Little had come back to do Halloween 5, we could have had that follow-up that everybody wants to see. That it's honestly far too late to see, guys. But the Halloween 4 ending, there's not a whole lot to say about it that's not been said. It's a great ending. It's a solid ending. It's one that when you do see it, it really just kind of leaves you speechless. Coming in at number 3, I personally surprised myself with this one. It's going to be the original ending. Now, this is one of the finest endings in horror. Again, with Myers being shot off the balcony, Loomis kind of quickly checking if Laurie's good. And then he looks and sees that Myers isn't there. You get the breathing and the little montage of all the locations. That's just some beautiful filmmaking there. The score kicking in with the breathing. It's just perfect. But, you know, the next 2 endings I thought were just a little bit better. Coming in at number 2. This one I was really contemplating putting in at number 1, but it ended up being the runner-up. That's going to be the Halloween 3 ending. Now, you guys know very well by this point that I like a film with a dark ending. I like that whole cynical, nihilistic, like, screw your happiness. I like that kind of ending. And this one totally has that. Of course, it sort of leaves the possibility that, no, everything was kind of okay. Maybe they did get the channel turned off, that 3rd channel. It's just one of those great endings. It's chaotic up until the very last second. The stop it picking up. And having seen what those masks are capable of when that channel's going on, we know that the whole world is in for one hell of a wake-up call if that channel doesn't come off. The Halloween 3 ending, guys, it's one of my favorite horror movie endings, period. I could say that for at least the top 5 here. But it's a great ending, just wasn't the number 1 ending. That was going to be Halloween H2O, Halloween 20 Years Later. Now, I've talked about how this is like one of my favorite third acts, despite my problems with this film. This has one hell of a third act, one hell of an ending. When you pair this with Halloween 1 and Halloween 2, then I really do enjoy this film. But as sort of its own film in the grand scheme of the franchise, I will pick it apart and have some issues with it. Again, we'll sort of see how I'm feeling about it when I revisit it here in about a week. But this one is another one that has that finality. And as much as I like those sort of sequel bait Halloween endings, I do like a Halloween ending that says, hey, this is done. We're putting it to bed. And this one does that in spades with the decapitation. That whole bit was really cool because you had the impactful moment where Myers is reaching out and she's reaching back to him. They almost touch fingertips there, and she just fucking lops his head right off. That was just a hell of a way to end the film. They don't really do the... And the next day everything was... No, they don't do that. They don't do the denouement bit here. They just kind of say, hey, she cut his head off, and she's probably going to need some more therapy and alcohol going forward. It was just one hell of an ending. Obviously my favorite ending in the franchise. Is it my favorite film? Absolutely not, but it has the strongest ending for my money. Halloween H2O, best ending. So that was my ranking of the Halloween endings, guys. Be sure to let me know down below how you would rank the endings of the franchise. Also, while you're down there, play with some of the little icons down here. Hit that little thumb. That's always fun. Hit the sub button if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on a single day of this Halloween review series. Every day throughout the month of October, we're going to be talking about something Halloween related. There might even be extra stuff here, so you don't want to miss out on that, guys. As always, I want to thank you all for watching. I'll see you guys tomorrow.